I work at a hospital and I do autopsies, and then in the evenings I do private autopsies for one of the doctors that retired from the crime lab. And so nights and weekends I kind of do that. And then also at that mortuary, there is an embalming service. So I help powder and sew up bodies. I'm not a licensed embalmer, but I help the embalmer sew up bodies. And so
You know how to
I do
stitch.
that.
You're an autopsy
Yeah,
tech. You know how to stitch.
yeah, yeah, that's right. So I
Wow,
do a little bit of everything.
that's a lot of work, man. Do you like being busy, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I like being busy. So, like, I'm trying to lose weight, and so long as I'm not sitting, and long as I'm not in the kitchen, I'm good. Like, if I get bored, I eat, and so I'm trying to lose as much as I can. So I don't want to sit down. I want to stay active. I want to keep going. My doctor told me a year and a half ago I was pre-diabetes. I was almost 400 pounds. She's like, you got to get up.
Damn,
You got to get moving.
look at you.
So I know. So now
Freaking
she's
A.
like, get 10,000 steps every day. And so what I try to do is I try not to sit down as little as possible, because you
Yeah.
don't realize how much you sit down until you get like a tracker. And then at the end of the day, I was like, I've only moved like 2,000 steps. And she's like, you need 10,000 a day. And so right then it was on. I started doing 5Ks and
I know.
10Ks.
I
And just,
see on your Instagram you're always running. Good for you. Way to go.
yeah,
That's
yeah, I
legit.
lost all my weight, and then I got recruited by a running club here in Little Rock, and so now I went from big boy to medium-sized boy to now I'm on a running team. Now I'm not
You're
first,
tiny
second, or
boy.
third, but they liked my story, and they wanted me to be an inspiration for other people, and I was like, that's my whole life. I want
Hell
to
yeah.
have people try to be like me, see that I'm doing all this as a big guy. You can do it too.
I freaking love it. That's awesome. Good for you. You got such a great personality. You bring so much passion. For our audience, this is Gerald. What's your handle on TikTok and Instagram so everyone can follow you? He's the most famous autopsy tech, maybe the only one to ever exist.
Right. Well, I'm the one that started everything. So like, there's a lot of autopsy techs out there, and we're
Yeah,
all behind the scenes.
no
My
doubt.
handle is GW, G and then space DUBYA. I go by big underscore lead 73.
Yeah. We're
Um,
gonna have to change that
I
to small lead now.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I went from almost 400 pounds to now this morning I weighed 253. My goal is 249 because I was over 350 for 25 years, and so I can't wait to say
Look at you,
I'm
man.
under 250. Yeah,
That's awesome. That's just so
you
cool. Like, love to hear
just
it.
keep setting goals. Yeah,
That's the way to do it. You keep moving forward, and I mean, you got to be on your feet all day anyway as an autopsy tech. So like,
yeah,
you might as well double down and be like, hey, you're gonna dive in it and lose some weight here, huh?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Just baby steps, just every day, just keep moving, and just try to be better than yesterday. That's all I'm trying to do.
that's
Make
awesome.
make yesterday just jealous.
Yeah, wow, you got such a good mindset, good mentality, and if so for our podcast, this is Mortuary Show. We got all like mostly funeral directors. So I'm a funeral director. Mostly everyone listens to funeral director. So we love to like hear about your side of things. Like I know we have a lot of dynamic that we mix in together. So tell us a little bit about your story, Gerald. Like how'd you get started being an autopsy tech, and how'd you get to here to now?
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this goes way back to when I think it was about 8 years old.
Okay.
I was riding my bike. My mom was making dinner. She said, "Don't go far." And I was like, "Okay." Well, I rode my bike. I was about a mile away from home,
All right.
and there was a car behind me. And so I was like, "Well, I'll switch over to the other side." And as I was doing that, that car hit me. Lady ran out, and she's like, "You're hurt. Lay down. Lay on the ground. What's your phone number?" And I was like, "No, you can't call my mom. You can't call my
She'll
mom.
kill
She's
me.
gonna be
I'd
mad."
rather be dead.
Yeah, like, just let me die here. Just let me go home. They're like, "No, you're hurt. You need to go to the hospital. What's your phone number?" And so I told her, like, all the digits except the last one. And I was like, "That's my phone number." She goes, "You're missing one." I'm like, "Nope, that's it. Just let me go home." They're like, "What's your name?" And so back then there was big phone books everybody had. And I
Yeah.
told her my name, so she looked up my parents and called my mom. They called the police. Policeman shows up, and
Okay.
he says, "It'll be all right. I'm here. I'm going to protect you." And all my life, my mom taught me, if you're ever in trouble, if you ever need help, find a police officer. They're going to help you.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. I was like, you have to save me because my mom's going to kill me. I'm a mile away from home, and I'm super scared right now. He's like, "That's okay. You're going to be all right." Well, as they were waiting for the ambulance, the lady brought out a blanket and covers me in a blanket. My mom pulls up, sees me laying in the middle of the street with a blanket on. She starts screaming. She's just screaming. I'm like, okay, protect me, here she comes. And he's like, I'm protecting you, you're okay. Got me to the hospital. I had a broken collarbone, a broken leg.
Yeah.
The next day, that police officer brought me a bicycle because my bike was trashed. He bought a bike with his own money and brought it to me. And right then, I was like, I want to be a police officer.
Yeah.
I want to help kids. I want to help people. That's what this police officer did for me.
That's so cool.
So I based my whole life on that. I went to college. I got a criminal justice degree.
Yeah.
I went through everything. And then when it came down to it, I have such a big heart, and I couldn't pull a trigger and shoot somebody.
Yeah.
Even if it's a bad guy,
yeah,
they would shoot me before I would shoot them because I don't think I could live with that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't become a police officer. What I did was I became an investigator at the ME's office. I got to work with the police, work with the coroners, work with funeral homes, get to write reports. I'd go get bodies, bring them. And then after about 3 years, a position came open in the morgue, and I transferred down. And for the last 15 years, I've been doing autopsies.
Wow.
So it's not where I thought I was going to be, but this is where I ended up. And I think I'm helping people. I'm just behind the scenes, like 3-4 lines back, but I'm helping families get answers. So I think this is where I need to be.
Yeah, you got to have that mindset. Like you have to, like for me as funeral director, I'm doing that. I have that same mind frame where I'm like, I'm helping this family give them like a last beautiful goodbye.
Yeah.
You're helping these families get some closure on their situation.
Right.
So when you're dealing with this really challenging situations, you have to have that good frame of mind. Otherwise, you'll drive yourself crazy because it's a hard job. Like I'm sure autopsy tech, you're working hard every day, and you're seeing some really tough stuff.
But people do some terrible things to other people, and it's so sad. And I have to learn to leave it at work.
Yep.
And not bring it home. Like when I come home, if my wife asks me, I can't tell her really anything because I don't want to learn and think about it and go home and then lose sleep. Like a lot of my TikTok followers are like, do you dream about it? I'm like, no. How do you decompress? I'm like, I don't, I'm sorry, but I don't learn your name or your situation. When I'm at work, I'm 110%. And then when I go home, I'm Gerald. I play video games. I go fishing. I run. I clear my mind because I know at work I'm going to do the best I can, but then I also have a life, and I can't take your life home with me. And so when I first started as an investigator, I drove like from Little Rock, the whole entire state of Arkansas, all the bodies come to Little Rock for autopsy. We only have one ME's office. So I drove up to Fayetteville, and it was a good 3.5 hour drive. Yeah. And I picked up a shaken baby. And the story was dad shook the baby and set it down, and then he changed his story to he shook the baby a little bit more and then set it down. And then the third story is he shook the baby until the head was doing this. It set the baby down. 6 hours later, when mom came home from work, he said, I don't know, the baby stopped crying. I had a little one at home, and I cried all the way back to Little Rock. Like, I wanted to go find that dad and just shake him.
I have the chills, right? I would do the same. Keep going. Sorry, Gerald. Man.
No, it's okay. Like, I just can't imagine somebody doing that to a kid. No. I mean, you just need to walk away and cool off. That baby's going to cry, but that baby can't defend itself. And so right then, I had a little one at home the same size as this baby, and it just tore me up all the way back to Little Rock. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to help this little one get justice.
Yeah.
And so this is where I need to be because I'm helping people. I'm going to help get justice, and we're going to put this dad away so he can't do this again.
Oh, wow. That's cool. That's that is the way you got to think. Because if you're taking that stuff home to your family every day, they're going to have to live with it, and you're rubbing off, and then it's just staying with you all the time. I'm the same way. Right. When I'm done with work, I got to be done with work. Like, I'm not thinking about what I'm doing in the prep room every day. You'll drive yourself crazy. You're not thinking about the families. Of course, you're helping. You're doing as much as you can. Right. But you have to break away. Otherwise, there's no way you're going to live every day. It'd be miserable. It'd be terrible.
No, you can't take it home. And it's sad because people are like, tell me a story. Tell me a story on TikTok. I'm like, I can't. No. Like, I help you in the moment, but then when I walk away, I leave that story there. And, like, I have trouble. They're like, tell us a terrible story. I'm like, well, I really can't because of HIPAA, but I really don't learn the situation. Like, when I'm at work, I learn it. I do the best I can, what I need to do, and then I go to the next case. Yeah. Like, I don't try to take that home with me, because I don't want that on my shoulders.
Right.
I just know I want to help that person in the moment, and they're going to get justice.
Yeah.
And then on to the next body.
Yeah, love to hear that. That's great. And so you got to be a pretty darn high volume then. If you get everywhere from Arkansas to your facility, it's got to